Hello. Hi, Lisa Marie. How are you? That's awesome, girl. Me too. Me too. Outside, I pulled a muscle in my nether regions last week, and it still hurts. I'm like, not in the groin area. No, make it stop. Yeah, ouch is right. I've been taking a leave and keeping ice packs on it to keep it from to try to alleviate the pain. So far it's been helping. Trying to give it a few minutes. Cause man, I'm just start dib dabbering. Wait, am I? Oh, I think that's the worst thing is slipping on ice, man. Ooh. Mm. I slipped on ice one winter and I wound it up underneath somebody's parked car. I was like, oh damn. I said, ooh, I thank God this car was parked. That would have been a messy situation for me. I was like, what the hell? I said, no, I didn't. I literally slipped on the ice and skidded my ass underneath somebody's parked car. I said, no. Okay, here we go. That's that nonsense. Are you working on something, Lisa? I'm working on Starborn Unicorn. Yeah, that's very scary. Nice. Yeah, you said that last night that you finished, right? Well, I'm gonna get to talking, and people probably slip in. Um, I was just trying to give it a few, but we're gonna get we gonna get situated. We're gonna get started. You know, so as we all know, this is a mental health month. Oh, okay, cool. We know this is mental health month. We're doing our mental health event, Craftalong event. So I wanted to talk about something. Cherry started it last night. Um, how people use mental health as an excuse for bad behavior. And I just, it makes it hard for people to get help when you got other people out there faking the funk. You know, you got other people like the case. She started it yesterday. I don't think she finished it. Andrea Yates. I think she's out in Texas. She had 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 girl. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Mary. I'm like, okay, so this is what we're doing. I know, right? It put a giddy up in your fire, didn't it? Oh, but and like she had 5 kids: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Mary. Mary, of course, was the baby. Now, this woman killed, drowned all her kids. Called 911 and then called her husband. Told him he need to come home. He need to come home right now. The situation with her is that, a lot of people, I think, get postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis mixed. Both of them are 2 different things. Postpartum depression is basically depression after you have a child. Your hormones are out of whack, you know. So, psychosis, that's a whole nother wax of ball of wax. What else? That's a whole nother ball of wax. Postpartum psychosis is where mentally you are just not there. See, with the depression, you're there, but you're depressed. Psychosis, ain't nobody home. And that's a dangerous situation, especially after you just having a kid. Ooh. See, I don't have kids, but I do know the difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. Postpartum psychosis, that's on a whole nother level. You ain't depressed. You just out there. But she suffered from postpartum psychosis after she had her last child. The doctor strongly advised her because she suffered from postpartum psychosis with her last son. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They have it. They have postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, and the doctor warned her. The doctor warned her. He told her. He said, after her last son, you are not to have no more kids. And then he put her on Haldol, which they said was actually helping her. you know, but, you know, whether he wanted to have another baby or she wanted to have another baby, I think he wanted to have another baby, and in order for her to have that other baby, she had to come off of the Haldol, which means she had to come off all her antidepressants and antipsychotic medication, so she could have this baby. And that's when she got pregnant and had her daughter. And they were fervently following this pastor, some back door. I don't know where the hell you came from. Need to go back there, pastor. You know, uh, they moved from a beautiful house, and this. I kid you not. They moved from a beautiful home into a damn school bus because of what the pastor was teaching. I said, I wish I would. You got 5 kids, and one of them is a newborn, and you go and take your wife out of a beautiful home and put her in a school bus? How are they taking a shower? I know. right, girl? I said, how are they taking a shower? How are they going to the bathroom? How? And it got to the point where her mother told him, put her in a home, get her into a nice house. You know, eventually he did. They got into the house and she was fine for a minute. But like I said, she had to go off her antipsychotics, you know, to have her last baby, and she never went back on them. And then her postpartum psychosis kicked in, and then all hell broke. She started drowning her babies one by one. The husband was at work. She started drowning her babies one by one. And then by the time she was finished, she called 911. And then she called her husband, told you need to come home. And it's about the kids. See, in my definition of mental health, that would be it. That would be it. By no stretch of the imagination am I condoning what she did, because that's horrible. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But on that same flip side of that coin, she was seriously dealing with some mental issues. Right, girl? When I first heard the story, I was like, whoa. And I still feel for her, you know? And I was like, this is the definition of mental defect. What they call in the court of law, mental insanity. That she would be it. She would definitely be it. She didn't try to hide it. She didn't try to disguise it. She didn't make no excuses for it. She said she did it and could not explain why. Now for me, that would be a true definition of mental defect. That would be a true you go into a court of law, mental defect. She would be definitely. No, well, her husband was at work, but he wanted that last kid even after her doctor advised them not to have no more kids, because she had suffered postpartum psychosis with the last one, and she barely escaped that, and he put her on Haldol, and Haldol is a strong antipsychotic medication, and it was working. Oh, I'm pretty sure he did know. I'm pretty sure he did know, because at some point after she had her last kid, he tried to get the doctors to put her back on Haldol. Because that was the only thing that had ever worked for her. And whatever new doctor that they were seeing didn't put her on back on Haldol. He put her on some kind of crazy medication that did not work. And her husband was steady urging, please put her back on the Haldol, because that worked for her. And because now this is the thing about the whole situation, though, because she was because a lot of times when you get somebody like that, they have to do it inpatient. Girl, I know. they have to do an inpatient, right? And then they have to you on, start you on some type of medical regime to see which medication is going to work for you, and then once they get it, they have to make sure that you're stable on it. So you looking at a couple of weeks in the hospital, you know. But I think she was only in the hospital, I think they said for only a week because the medical insurance didn't couldn't cover any more of the hospital expense. So they had to release her. And I was like, that is so messed up. You know, that that is really messed up. This woman really needs help. And because her medical insurance didn't cover all of it, you just gonna pat her on the back and say see you later and hope that everything go well? No, no. I don't agree unless it's an actual reason to use mental health for bad behavior, you know, and that makes it so bad, because Sherry and I was just talking, you know, these women out here, you know, and the men do it too, but most of the time you see it with the women. Yeah, it is horribly broken. And you see it with the women. I mean, you see it with the men sometimes, but the women mainly, where something happens and the first thing they want to do is scream. You know, like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. Okay. She's being exposed left and right for being a liar after you don't accuse this man of being abusive. See, stuff like that makes it hard for women who actually deal with that situation to come forward, you know? Makes it very hard, you know? When I was raped and I had a police officer right there in my face, I did I, I could not report it, you know? I could not report it. And I had an officer right there in front of me, you know? And it was like literally 5 minutes after the rape took place that I came across the officer. And I know he knew something was wrong because my face was red. I was crying. I was shaking, you know, and, you know, he just kept, because at the time my boyfriend was working in a little store at the corner. So I went there to see him and tell him what happened. And in the process of me doing that, a cop walked into the store and he just kept looking back at me like he seen something was wrong. And I'm sure he sensed something was wrong. Exactly. Exactly. And like I tell people, my problem was that because everything happened so fast. Like my mother died October 31st, 88. I was raped the first week of November in 88. Oh, thank you. You know, and then I go into the military thinking I'm safe. And then in 89, I'm sexually assaulted. So it's like boom, boom, boom. I didn't have time to really like grieve the death of my mother, marinate on the fact that a person that I thought was a friend just totally raped me. And then another person I thought was a friend sexually assaulted me. See, I didn't have time enough. I had to keep going, you know. I didn't have family, you know. So I had to keep pushing, But in the process of doing that, I got so comfortable, you know, with where I was sitting with it that I pushed it so far back, girl, I didn't even want to deal with it, you know. But then back in 2009 to 2010, I think like 2010, I was sniffing cocaine with my because I was living with my cousin at the time, her next door neighbor, and you know, this one particular night, I do not know what happened. I do not. As far as I know, nothing happened to cause it, but I had a mental breakdown. I had a mental breakdown. I mean, and when I say mental breakdown, I mean I was just on this crying binge that just would not stop, you know. It was like once I started, I could not stop, you know. And and my cousin, she worked night shift, so we was talking and everything. And the next morning when she came home, the first thing that we did was take me to the VA, and I wound up in the psychiatric ward of the VA, and at this point, this is where I was diagnosed, you know, with PTSD and and depression and bipolar. This is where I was diagnosed, and you know now I've been clean and sober since 2011. I've been clean and sober, you know, but I also been in treatment since then too. I've also been in treatment, so I'm working through. Hi, Cindy. How are you? Um, Thank you, Lisa. I've you know, been in therapy since then, you know, and I don't see me trying to come out no time soon because it took so many years of me burying all of that, you know, and me sitting on it because you talking from 88 to 89, and we now here in 2022, you know. So it's like, you know, it took me years, but now it's going to take me more years to undo what I pretty much did to myself. But like I said, I didn't really have time to I really didn't have the time to sit and grieve and think about and sit with the fact that, you know, not only did I just lose my mom, but now I've been violated in such a way, in a god awful way. I wouldn't wish that on nobody, you know. So, and this is I take mental health. Oh, I'm sorry, Cindy. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I was thinking of, I'm looking into getting a service dog, because, with, because like with PTSD, I deal with flashbacks, I deal with nightmares, and I do a lot of fighting in my sleep, you know. And there's been times where I think I fought so hard that I literally fought myself out of the bed. Oh, you welcome, Cindy. I literally fought myself out of the bed. Wake up in the middle of the night, my butt is on the floor. My covers be all discombobulated, so it's hard. And this is the thing, because like, Sherry brought up a good point, last night in her live, where she talked about, how we got to the point where now we can't even talk about mental health. Girl, be glad you didn't go down that road. I wish I hadn't have gone down that road. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, you look like a boxing match. Exactly. And like she said, like Sherry said in her live last night, she touched on it a little bit, how we can. And personally, if you think about it, the stigma for mental health, it stems way back, way back. I mean, we talking the 40s, the 50s, and probably even further than that. Lisa, I have nightmares. But the funny thing about my nightmares is that they don't come out in the way of you would think they would come out. You know, my nightmares come out in a different way. It's not like I dream about that situation, but I per se, but I dream about it in another way. Like I always dream about lava, and always running away from lava, you know. So that's like that's right. And that's like, you know, that's equating me trying to run from the situation, you know. And it's like I told my therapist, I said, but that I think that is a way that my brain tries to protect me when I'm asleep. It doesn't make me actually dream about the, the actual event, but it doesn't do it in another way. You know, girl, tell me. I'm in mine, I'm being chased by hot lava. And I'm like, no, okay. And I know what it's pertaining to. And I know it pertains to that, and it's scary because sometimes it feels so real, right, Lisa? Sometimes it feels so real that I can actually feel the heat from the lava. No matter how far I run, no matter where I try to hide, I can still feel it. Yep. So for me, it's important for me to talk about it, for my own good, for my own sanity, for my own peace of mind, because I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm back now. Exactly. Exactly. You don't know how many times I don't woke up like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking it's like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, whew, you know. And I hate that because when I have a break in my sleep like that, and even if I do manage to go back to sleep, when I wake up, I'm still tired because I had that break in my sleep. I didn't sleep all the way through, you know. But the stigma with mental health, it really stems back, you know, way back, okay, to where, if you had an issue, you know what I'm saying? Well, don't be telling people that. I don't need people to think that I have a crazy child, or try to sweep it under the rug, you know. We don't talk about things like that in this house, you know. And for me, that's where the stigma of mental health comes in. It starts at home. It starts there. Yep, from the dorm during the time. Yep. Because look how long it okay, I'm gonna say it. But look how long it took for us to be able to have a out and out conversation about our bodies and our cycles. See, back then you couldn't even talk about that. That was taboo. Yep. That we don't talk about things like that. You gotta keep it going. So for me, the stigma of mental health stems just from that. That's how far back it goes. And like I said, it probably goes back further, you know. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive it goes back further, you know. And this is where we, as the new generation, I don't want to say new generation because we're really not the new generation. Yeah, right? You know, but that next generation from our parents, you know, this is where we need to kind of step up, and let people know that it is okay not to be okay, you know. And like I said, I made a quote, and my quote was, "Don't let your past become your present." So, in other words, you can go back to the past to try to fix or try to heal the scars from the past. Just don't stay there, because if you stay there, you're not ever going to go forward because you're always going to stay in the past, And a lot of times I have to tell myself that sometimes, okay, I can't let my past become my present, you know. I know I have to go back there. I know I have to heal some things from back then, but I cannot stay there. I have to bring it to back to the present so that I can move forward. Exactly. 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 Because we want to know why we can't talk about it. What's the shame? Everybody needs help every now and again, from time to time. You know, there's no shame in that. When you talk about mental health is basically a chemical imbalance in your brain. We can't control that. We have no control. If we could reach in our brain and recircuit them wires, okay, we wouldn't have need for mental health facilities and therapists. Okay, we could just go in our brains and rewire them wires and fix it. You know, but we can't. So that's out of our control. The only thing we can do is acknowledge it and try to get help for it, and try to work with it, you know. and try to get the help that you need, you know, shoot, that's what I'm saying, Lisa. I wish we could control it. I wish I could go up in my brain and rewire them circuits. And that's the thing. When you get violated in such a way as in rape or in domestic violence cases, there is a disruption in that chemical in your brains. It's like somebody unplugged the plug and stuck the plug in back in the wrong socket, you know? And now you stuck with trying to fix it so that you can get that plug in the right socket, you know? And that's what happens when you get violent in such a way. They take that plug out of the socket and stick it in a whole completely different socket that doesn't even work, you know? And it's like, and you're left stuck holding it. Like in my case, I'm left stuck holding it. It don't bother you because you're the one who did it. But I have to deal with the outcome. I have to deal with the fallout from that, you know? And you don't have that right to take that from me, you know? Unfortunately, you felt like you did, you know? And I can't, you know? But it's like everything else, and I think I mentioned it last week when I spoke. It's like it's like AA. What is the first step in AA? Admitting you're powerless over alcohol. Well, in my case, it had to be my first step was admitting that this happened. Because once I admitted that it happened, then I can move forward. But so long as I neglected that this happened, my mental health would be, let's face it, my friends know I'm crazy as hell anyway. But, this is a whole new, whole new thing here, And I think the thing that sucks for me about the whole thing is that when I was going through this, I had nobody. I had nobody in my corner. My sisters and I weren't even talking. Wow. I am so sorry to hear that, Lisa. You know? And that's the thing. The one person that I really needed to be, she was gone. She died. And that was my mom. Yep, my family did the same thing. They deserted me as well. You know? And I didn't have I didn't have no kind of help. I had nobody to talk to when I was going through. So I had to navigate the best way I knew how by myself. Okay, now it wasn't the greatest of paths that I chosen, you know, but at the end of the day, if I can stand back and look at the bigger picture, I don't think I would change anything. Right? Same here. But I don't think I would change anything. You know why? Because if I hadn't have gone through what I've gone through, I wouldn't be the person I am today. You know? So at some level, I don't regret going through, although I do get mad about it and I get frustrated about it, because not only did that take a toll on my mental health, but it took a toll on me, period. You know? And sometimes I get scared sometimes and think about, because this happened to me, am I going to die alone? You know? I mean, I would like to have a relationship, you know, to where I can have somewhat of a family, but oh yeah, me too, Cindy. Me too. Me too. When I was in rehab back a few years ago in upstate New York, whenever we would come into the city, we used the van. We used the van, and I would always get in the very back seat of the van. And one day one of the girls asked me, she said, "Lisa, why do you always go for that back seat?" I said, "Because when I was raped in a van. And I need to see everything that's going on in front of me, you know?" And they was like, "Okay, now we understand it. Now it makes sense, you know?" So like I said, I'm looking in for a service dog because, you know, waking up on the floor could be kind of dangerous, you know? I've woken up on the floor quite a few times. Covers be on the floor. I be on the floor. Exactly, Lisa. Exactly. When I go sit in a restaurant, I never sit with my back to it. I have to see. Because if I got to break out in a hurry, I need to know, you know. You know. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you know. I'd be waking up talking about, okay, who invited Mike Tyson in my bedroom while I was sleeping? Why it looked like we'd been in a boxing match? You know? It's like, why? Or I'll wake up, like sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night because I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, how how did how did this covers get this wrapped up around me? I'm like, well, I look like I'm like, how I don't understand it. How, I can't even figure out. I feel like like a knot that's tied, and you're trying to figure out how to untie. I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know, and it's like it's hard, you know. And actually, that's why I'm kind of glad that, you know, Sherry and I started this, started this last year, and I still try to keep it going, because it's so important that people out there need to understand that you're not alone. You know, a lot, we going through it too. Wow. Exactly. Yeah, big hugs, Cindy. Big hugs. you know. And it's like, you know, it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be had. We need to keep having these conversations. That stigma around mental health has to go, because until, you welcome, Cindy. Hi, Deanna. Um, because we have to try to break that stigma. Because once we can break that stigma around mental health, then people will feel more comfortable, more relaxed, and going to get help. But then again, it doesn't help when you can't even tell your best friend that you're going to get therapy without her looking at you some kind of sideways, thinking that you crazy, all because you seeking help. You know, it's stuff like that judgmentally thing that people do when they find out that you seeking help for whatever the issue is that you're going through, that you got to be crazy. And see, and this stems all back to the olden years, where people weren't allowed to even talk about it. Because if you go back to the 1800s, somebody with schizophrenia, they'd have thought they were possessed, you know? And then they would have the priest in the house talking about, we got to do an exorcism because your child is possessed. But your child's got schizophrenia or even seizure. Oh, we got to get that devil out you because we know that's the devil. Oh, somebody having a seizure, and it all stems from way back when, you know. You have an issue, it's got to be something or another, or we just ain't talking about it. And it's like, no, we need to talk about it, you know. And we love our family to death, but they did this. They did this because you not allowing us to talk about it, or you deeming people uh possessed by the devil because somebody might have a seizure or they might have schizophrenia. Oh no, that's Satan. We got to get that out you. Come on, go call the priest. Go call Ghostbusters. Let's go get this demon out you. How about taking it to a doctor and let the doctor diagnose her and put her on medication? How about that? You know? And it's like, and this is where it all comes from, you know? We have to have a safe place where we can talk about our issues, you know. But I am going to tell you this situation, because I had told a friend of mine the situation too. So when I was in the Bronx, right, I went, you know, once I came out of rehab, I had to do, you know, a weekly or, a weekly, not a weekly, but like a monthly urine test, just to make sure that I was good to go. Well, it's one particular time, okay? It had to been about noon. I met with my therapist, and then then I went to go do a urine test. Now, sister has to pee, okay? I'm sitting there, I'm going back and forth, checking to see ain't nobody in the room to take my urine. The lights are out, and I'm sitting there for like 2.5 hours. Nothing's happening. Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours. I gotta go to the bathroom and I gotta go. Okay. And the next time I met with my therapist, he had the nerve to chastise me for it. He was like, I was like, I was sitting out there for 2.5 hours. The lights were out, the doors was locked, was nobody back there. Well, you should have just waited. I waited for 2.5 hours. What makes you think I didn't have something else to do? Yeah, it does me too, Cindy. It does me too. That's why I'm working on this big one. I'm working on a starborn unicorn that's like 106 centimeters by 70. Like, oh, you know, yeah, yep, Lisa, yeah, he sure did. He sure did. He chastised me because I didn't sit. Okay, first of all, the VA closes about 4. Okay, and it was already about 2:30. I've been sitting there for 2.5 hours, sitting on pee because I really had to go, and wasn't nobody back there because I kept checking. Lights are out, doors locked. Nobody's back there. You know. So I got up and left. I went to the bathroom and did what I had to do. The next time I met with him, he really chastised me on that. I said, well, I was sitting out there for 2.5 hours. The VA closed at 4. It's 2:30. Well, you should have waited. I waited for 2.5 hours. You know? See, and then when you do that, then they kind of want to give you a red strike. You know what I'm saying? Because now you have become a little aggressive and what's what I'm looking for? A little aggressive and I know, Lisa. I know. You know, you know what? And I might have had something else to do today. You may not have been my only appointment today. I sat and I waited. Nothing happened. I left. It's not like I sat there for 5, 10 minutes and decided to leave. I sat there for 2.5 hours. You know? So I'm like, you know, I said, and then you want to give people red strikes because they become aggressive, combative, because they trying to explain to you that I waited for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So where is the combative? Where's the aggressiveness? Because I waited. Wasn't nobody back there. You know? So, and this is coming from the same doctor that told me that sodas was meant for children. Sodas were not meant for adults. Right? Right, Lisa? You know? And the thing is, I wasn't being combative. I wasn't being aggressive. Hell, I wasn't even trying to be argumentative. But I'm trying to explain to you that I sat there for 2.5 hours and nothing was happening. So I left. Number one, I had to pee really bad. Right? Kiss my whole entire hiney. Right? So plus, and I'm glad that I'm in a better place. I'm still going through my issues. I'm still going my nightmares. My ooh the worst thing I hate is when I'm walking to the store and a bunch of guys are walking behind me. That bothers me. I have to stop and let them go in front of me. I don't like that. I get scared. I have a big hiney. And you kiss the whole entire crack of it. See, this is why you my namesake, Lisa. This is why you my namesake. You know, um, it can be frustrating sometimes. I know a lot of times with myself, I get frustrated, especially like if I have nightmares or I just get an uncomfortable feeling. I get frustrated with it because, you know, exactly, and let them pass. I can't have you walking behind me. I'm sorry. You know, I almost feel like one of them women in a movie where she's walking and then you hear feet walking behind her and then she speeds up and then he speeds up and next thing she running, he running, and what you think he's running to is not you. That paranoia kicks in, you know, that fear, it kicks in, you know, and that's frustrating as hell a lot of the time because then I have to stop and like get my thoughts together and count to 10, you know. It's like, you know, I know that not everybody is out mentally. I know that not everybody is out to get me or out to do me harm, but mentally, I, you know, I'm stuck there, and this is one of the things I'm working with my therapist on, knowing the difference, knowing that what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling and what it actually is two different things, you know. That fear is a bitch, y'all. I'm telling you, it's a mother, and I don't like feeling that way. And this is the thing that I get frustrated with because of what you've done to me is now has put me on like hyper vigilant, you know, and I get afraid sometimes when guys touch me, not the ones I know though, but you know, guys that I don't know very well, touch me, I get very paranoid, you know. Now, does that mean they're going to do anything to me? No. But when I'm in that state of mind, you can't tell me that because my mind is telling me yes, he is. Reality, 9 times out of 10, no. But my mind is telling me yes. You know, and when I get into that situation, I have to separate myself and do have a woosah moment, close my eyes, count to 10, and just breathe in and breathe out. Take deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Exactly. It's fight or flight. Exactly. You know, and I don't like feeling that way. And this is where I get frustrated with it because if that hadn't happened, you know, I wouldn't be in this situation. But it did happen, and I'm dealing with the situation. And mentally, it can be exhausting. Mentally, this is exhausting as hell. You know, freaking out every time I think a guy is going to do me wrong, and that may not even be the case. You know, yeah, it is exhausting. It's very exhausting. And I mentioned it in like one of my other videos. You know, the hypersexuality. You know, I was good with one night stands. Now, don't get me twisted. But when it came down to a relationship, like with my marriage, it broke down. And it's not because it was anything he did. Oh, good night, Cindy. Thank you for coming by, though. You know, but like I said, I can't just put it on my ex-husband because that wasn't him. It was on me. At some point I just didn't want to be touched. You know, and I don't know. I don't even remember if I told him, what my situation was. But at the end of the day, I cannot put the blame off on him because it was just me. It was what I was going through. You know, that mental man, that's a beast. You know, and now I have to try to put the try to put the puzzle back together. Yeah, Lisa, me too. Me too. I'm not there yet. I'm so not there yet. You know, that's a work in progress. I mean, because eventually, I would like to meet somebody and fall in love and have a nice little family. But come on, let's face it. I'll be 57 in July. You know, let's be real with this. You know, and and that's not to say that I'm old, but I'm getting there. I'm getting older. You know, but if I can't work this out, I don't ever see myself being in a relationship. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm 56 until July. Then I'm 57. You know, And I don't know if it'll ever be worked out. You know, that's all I can say. My mental health keep kicking in. You know, I get that uncomfortable, uneasy feeling. Yeah, yeah, me too. I would like that. I really would love that. And that's actually what I'm trying to work towards, but I, I have to learn how to, I'm learning how to get myself unstuck when I get stuck, you know, and this is not an easy thing, you know. This is such not an easy thing to do. I mean, it's easy enough to say it than it is to do it. Trust me, you know. I mean, eventually, hopefully one day, but I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to rush it. It is what it is. I have to fix me before I can even think about getting into a relationship with anybody else. I have to think about fixing me, you know, because I tried that other before and that didn't seem to work at all. So I have to do I have to take care of me, you know. And sometimes we were meant to be quiet so that we can take care of ourselves, you know. But a lot of times we get caught up in our day to day that we don't actually see it, you know. Oh yeah, girl, me too. Me too. Definitely, you know. And you know what? I'm in no rush to stop it. It is what it is. I don't know. I guess I'll know when the time is right to stop, but right now, nope, I don't see it in my near future. Girl, it's been since like 2015 was the last. 2014, 2015. And it's so funny though, because when you tell people that, the looks that you get from people when you tell them, you know what, I haven't been with nobody in like 10, 20 years. And they be like, say what? And that is so funny just to get what you talking about, Willis. I said, like, look, you know, I mean, I did my crazy shit when I was like 20, 30 years old, even in my early 40s, you know. Now I'm not that young anymore, and I'm thinking more of a long-term thing than I am, a one-night stand thing. But in order for me to have that long-term thing, I have to deal with my issues, you know. And I'm not too scared to say, I know. Okay, that's funny. That's funny. All right, then. But then and I look at my mom, you know, my mom, she had three girls and she was very leery about who she brought around her daughters, so my mom really didn't ever date that much, you know. It's just that the last guy she with is the one that took her out of this world, you know. And right now I hope he's burning in hell, you know. But I'm not in no rush. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. See, and that's the funny thing. My mother was a physician's assistant. Okay, so when we were coming up as kids, she would bring home all these nasty ass looking pamphlets of these ugly looking, oh my God, take it away. I'm never having sex a day in my life kind of brochures, you know? Half them brochures made me want to go get a thread and a needle and sew up my shit. I was like, oh hell no. Where's the needle? Get the alcohol. Cause we get ready to sew this up. Cause if I ew, you know, and she just wasn't careful, you know. At the end of the day, she's still my mom and I still love her. You know, she's human. She made her mistake, you know. Unfortunately, she paid it with her life, but she made a mistake. Nobody is perfect, you know. You know. So the guy that she's with, I wish that she was with, you know. Yeah, I really hope his ass is burning in hell because he need to be burning in hell. You know. Exactly. And my mother died in '88. So we didn't know anything too much about it at that time because it was just hitting the scene hard, you know. So we didn't know too much about it then. Girl, I already did my rain dance. Oh, child, you funny. You know, but you know, listen, life is hard enough, okay, without having the extra add-ons. Like domestic violence and rape and sexual assault. Life is already hard enough. Okay. We don't need the add-ons, you know. And unfortunately we caught the add-on, you know. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I lay in my bed. Yep, Diana. Sometimes I lay in my bed and I'll talk to my mom. I'm like, Mom, I wish you were here. I need you. I need you. And I'm the youngest. See, I'm the baby of the family, you know? And it's like, and it just gets so frustrated, and sometimes I just don't want to deal with the mental anguish no more. I don't want to deal with it no more. But me not dealing with it is what got me in the situation in the first place. So now I'm learning a new way of dealing with it, you know. Um, you know, a, a new way to deal with it constructively instead of destructively, you know. you know, it's their turn to sell, you know. And for those people out there that think that mental health and drug and substance abuse does not go hand in hand, it does. It most certainly does. Yes, it's been a lifesaver for me too, girl. Like I said, I'm working on the Starborn Unicorn. And that's like 106 centimeters by 70. That's a beast. That is a beast. That's a beast I'm ready to take on. You know what I mean? You know, I'm working on two, believe it or not, because I'm working on Starborn Unicorn, and I'm also working on Whimsical Winter that has started like last year. You know, wow, I'm sorry to hear that, Lisa. You know, and having mental health, it's nothing to play with. It's not, especially when you start getting up into like the schizophrenic places, because that can be very dangerous. Yep. Oh, definitely, Lisa. Definitely. Because this piece I'm working on right now, the Starborn Unicorn, I got Starborn Unicorn because the colors, like blue is my favorite color. But when I see it mixed in with the purples and like the tealish kind of green, and then you mix in the ABs because they got some. Oh my God, the ABs are gorgeous. I got 119. That's an AB, and I got a 120. That's an AB, and I got a 129. That's an AB, and I got a 136. That's an AB, and then I got a 141. That's an AB. And so far, the top row that I finished, I was like, oh, look at the ABs. Oh my God. So I really love the picture. I really, really, really love the picture. So I had to get it. Of course, when I got it, I didn't realize that it was going to be a 106 by 70. I guess I should have checked that. Yes, yes, girl. It's got the blues, it's got the purples, it's got the yellows, it's got the pinks, it's got the teal, it's got the green, it's got the oh God, girl. Oh, I fell in love with it. I said, yeah, I gotta get it. And the funny thing is because the person that did it, Anthony Christo, if I'm not mistaken, he was actually on TSA. Now he's on DAC. Ah. And I just finished. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Um, I actually just finished the Ann Stokes Little Helpers. I actually finally just finished that. Put it on my wall. That is a nice big. That came out really, really, really nice. You know. See, and that's the thing. Doing diamond art painting. You know, with my mental health, it helps me stay out of my head so much, because when I'm up in my head, that's a whole mess up in there. Okay. Oh, it is gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. I think I posted it up on as a matter of fact, I know I posted it up on Diamond Art Club VIP group. But if you haven't seen it, I'll repost it up on Facebook so that you can see it. I mean, it is gorgeous. It is really, really gorgeous. you know and that's one of the things that I like about doing diamond art, I mean, yeah, diamond painting is because it keeps me out of my head. I don't get to think about nothing but where am I going to put the next drill, you know? But it's the thing that I've had, I suffer from insomnia. I suffer from insomnia. Ah, so exactly, Cheryl. Exactly. And there's been many a nights where I would stay up over 24 hours just diamond painting because I couldn't sleep, you know. So, in a lot of aspects, this actually say helps me, you know. It, it helps me, because even now, if I have a sleepless night, I'll come down and maybe diamond paint for maybe an hour or two, and then I can feel myself getting sleepy, which means that actually put me at ease. It put me comfortable. I'm not in my head, and then once I do that, then I can go back upstairs and get in my bed and drift off to sleep. I just try not to do it like all day, every day. Because there's been times where I sat up in here and I've worked from sun up to sundown, back to sun up again, to mid sun, you know. But the only problem with that is that when I do it so long like that, eventually my back gets sore, my neck gets sore, So, I had trained myself, you know, not to do that. That's cool, Cheryl. That is so cool. I also do I also do shadow boxes. I love doing shadow boxes. I just did one for my mom not too long ago. And it's a LED shadow box, and it came out real, real nice. Yeah, see, there you go, Lisa. That's super hyper when you dye paint. You know, so and like I have the Cricut machine, so I'm like, okay, okay. So we get ready to be creative up in here. So I was able to make a shadow box using the Cricut machine, and it came out real nice. I'm gonna do. I want to do a couple for like mental health. You know, um, I've done like I created mugs, mental health mugs, and like I have one that the little statement says, "Bipolar is my superpower. What's yours?" You know. I've done some shirts because eventually what I want to do is I want to open up my own shop, but I'm trying to make sure that I get enough stuff so that I can put it on the website and then just sell it, you know. And it's all going to be geared to, mental health. Cool. Oh, okay, Deanna. Okay, I got you. You know, I like now. I got a new thing now. Exactly. Well, we had talked about that earlier, Cheryl. Like Lisa and I, we was talking about it, and we was talking about how, you know, like I don't like a bunch of guys walking behind me. So I will step aside and let them go past. And then I'll kind of stand there for a few minutes and have my woosah moment and take a deep breath, and try to get my brain thoughts together and then keep it moving, you know. Exactly. Safety first, you know. And we like and like right now I'm looking into different mental health facilities because I want to do an event which Cheryl inspired me to do with her Ticket to Ride event. I want to do an event like out here in New York City, but I have to get a get a hold of, look into some mental health facilities that I'm willing to team up with. That way, all the donations will go to that facility, you know? Exactly. Exactly. But see, and that's the thing though, Cheryl. You have to know your triggers, right? I mean, there may be some that you may know, but then there may be some the underlying triggers you may not know there was a trigger, you know. I can't wait, Cheryl. I can't wait. I'm excited for it, you know. But you inspired me to do an event. So I want to do an event here in New York City, and um I'm looking into different mental health facilities. I've even reached out to my attorney general for the state of New York, um, letting her know that we doing the mental health month awareness thing, you know, and then try to get her and talk to her and say, well, this is the thought plan. This is what we're going to do. This is what I want to do is doing a nice little event, a Craftalong event for mental health awareness with all proceeds going to the facility. Yes, 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 triggers, not just a trigger, triggers, because there are many. And I'm finding out some of them, you know, so, I haven't heard nothing back from her, but I'm gonna reach out to her again. Her name is Letitia James. She's the New York State Attorney General, you know, and see about doing something for, you know, doing a mental health awareness craft along event. Okay. I mean, of course, we're not talking probably within the next year or two, you know, because I want the event to be nice and I want it to be look like it's been put together, that it's been worked on. I want something that looks like it's been thrown together in like 5 minutes. That's even good too, Cheryl. I didn't even think about that. You know, but I would like to, sit down and talk with her more about it, you know, and I already got a friend on board, you know, that we're dealing with the veteran side of things, you know. And let me tell you something, people, veterans, we deal with a lot too mentally. We really, really do. And a lot of people don't realize it, you know, especially the ones that's been over there in wars. Now, I haven't been over in a war, but I have been in during war. So I'm considered a wartime era vet, you know. which basically means that I didn't go over there, but I was in during that time period. I was in during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. So I'm considered a wartime era vet. I see. You just okay, Cheryl. Just you get the ideas going, But at the end of the day, you're helping me, so I can kind of figure out and process what it is I want to do and how I want to do it. So, any ideas? Is I'm taking them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because remember back in the day, like, the Vietnam War, World War One, World War Two, you know, when especially the Vietnam War, when they all came back, none of them were right. None of them were right. Yeah, I just found out doing my genealogy that my mother's father, was a World War II vet. He was drafted, you know, and so was his brothers. I was like, wow. I said, I didn't know they were W2 vets, WW2 vets. Okay. So I'm a veteran regality because my dad was in the Air Force. I said, well, look at this. I'm of military regality. I'm regal in the veteran. you know, because people always ask me, Lisa, why'd you go? But I always wanted to go. And I could never put my finger on why it is. But now I get it because it runs in my blood very thick, you know. It runs in my vein very, 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 very thick. You know what? Lisa, Deanna? And I had that same thing with the female vets. The female vets too. You don't know how many times I've heard a female vet say they don't consider themselves a vet. Okay, well, you just did 10 years, 2 tours in Iraq. Why wouldn't you consider yourself a vet? Yep, me too, Lisa. Yeah. So it's like, why would you the only people that I would consider like a non-vet are those who don't make it past the first 2 weeks of boot camp. See, I'm sorry, I don't consider you a vet because you couldn't even get past boot camp. And not just boot camp, you couldn't make it past the first 2 weeks of boot camp. You know? Cool. See, now I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to No, she was here earlier, Cheryl. She said goodnight. I'm gonna have to make a site like Craftalong ideas for Lisa's event in New York City. But the thing is, I want it to touch everybody. I don't want it to just touch, you know, the veterans, or I just don't want it to touch females. I want it to touch everybody that mental health has touched, even the LGBT community, because we all know mental health has touched them, for the crap that they have gone through, you know, to get where to get where they're at, they had to go through. So, one for all for one, you know. So this is the thing, is I'm very passionate about this because I deal with it, and I know a lot of other people deal with it, you know, and I just want people to know that you don't have to suffer alone, because there's other people out there that's suffering too as well, you know. And it's like I always say, it may be a different situation, but the end result is still the same, you know. You're still dealing with PTSD, you're still dealing with the hypervigilance, you're still dealing with, you know, exactly, Cheryl. Huh. Cheryl, you just gonna have to hit me up, because you're throwing out some good ideas here that I didn't even think about. See? Yes, Lisa. I always felt like I was alone, you know, and one being that I didn't have anybody when I was going through, you know. I thought I was the only one that went through, because I didn't have nobody. I thought I was the only one, you know, but then going to the VA and going through, rehab and listening to certain stories and people talk, it's like, I'm not the only one, you know. Okay, Cheryl, because you coming up with some good things, you know. So it's important to know that you're not alone. That there's camaraderie, you know, you know, you're not alone. I'm going through it, other people are going through it, and it's important that people know that you're not alone. And that you don't have to go through this by yourself, you know? Exactly, Cheryl. And it's not true. You're not the only one that's dealing with it, you know? But because of that stigma that's attached to it, you know, nobody is speaking. So you're gonna feel alone, because how are you to know that you're not alone? Because you got stigma attached right to it, and now nobody wants to talk. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. And I'm working towards my peace and joy and my USA moment, you know, you know, but I would like other people to have that same thing. I want them to be allowed the same opportunity, you know, that there's a statement in the military that goes leave no man behind. Right? And that's my motto. So long as you're willing, I'm not going to leave you behind. I want to take you with me. You know, I don't want to leave a man behind. I want to take you with me, you know. But like I said, in order to do that, you have to be open for it, you know. Yes, Lisa, I was in a Navy. Now, I get questions on that tattoo. You know, I get a lot of questions on that tattoo. And the question is, how come you didn't get an anchor like everybody else, you know, that's in the military? I don't know, Cheryl. God, Lord, you got me calling you Sherry. I don't know, Cheryl. You know, so the situation with my little task there, I said I didn't exactly leave no man behind. You know, I said I didn't want to get an anchor. I wanted something different. I wanted something to stand out. You know, once I finished boot camp, I didn't have orders, so I had to do a 3-week program for seaman apprenticeship training. You know, and in the course of that, I had a friend of mine, a male friend of mine, who says, "You know what?" He said, "I'm gonna call you Taz." I said, "Why you calling me Dad?" He said, "Because you look like a little devil." I said, "If you only knew the half," you know. So that Taz stuck. So everybody knew me as Taz. So that's why I got the Tasmanian Devil with the Navy on it, because it reminds me, you know, of my military days. You know, they called me Where's Taz? She put that way, you know. So so I'm like, okay, I can live with that, you know. I can really live with that. Even the tattoo guy, the guy that did the tattoo, you know, like before you get a tattoo, they like to sit down and talk to you, and you tell them what it is you want. And they usually ask you, well, why is it you want that tattoo? So when I got this tattoo, he's like, well, why is it that you want this tattoo? And when I told him, he just started laughing. He said, wow. I said, yeah. He said I look like a little devil. So he started calling me Taz. And before you know it, everybody started calling me Taz. I said, you just don't know the half. I'm like, y'all just don't know the half. Okay. I'll take that. Because, you know, you piss me off, you might get a Taz. But then you also might get a Leo too, because I'm a Leo. Or you might get a Tazion, you know, cross between the Tasmanian devil and lion. Tasmian. I'd be cracking myself up. I'd be coming up with some words, boy. I'm like, okay. I don't know how I came up with that one, but okay, I'll go with that. You know. And you know, and the thing is that when I was sexually assaulted on active duty, technically what they were supposed to do is whenever a base catch a charge like that, somebody was supposed to be transferred off the base. Okay. That didn't happen in my case, at least not right away. because I had to look at this dude day after day after day after day until eventually I got my orders. Because, yeah, nobody messes with me either. Because I'm a Leo. And if you don't want your balls in a vice, I suggest you leave me alone. Ooh, you know, and it's good to laugh, because when you're dealing with sure, you don't want your balls in a vice, you don't want to mess with me either, you know. Um, and it's nice to know that you can have a sense of humor. You know, you can still laugh and smile regardless of what you go through. And that's the important thing. You know, you laugh and smile. Because I tell you what, I laugh at myself on a daily. Got that right, show. Last year, I think it was last year. It was last year. And I have fell down like 3 steps, the 3 last steps in my house. And I don't know how the hell I wound up in the printer paper box, but that's where I ended up. I'm like, wait, what? How did I end up in here? I was like, okay. How did I end up in a printer paper box? Somebody, Lord, please help me. I know, Sarah, I don't understand. I don't understand how that happened. But I laughed my butt off. I got some cat ninja moves. I don't know how the hell that happened. I happened to look down. I'm like, and my ass is literally in a printer paper box. And I'm like, how the hell I get here? The hell I do? Bounce off the step into the printer paper box? What happened? Oh gosh. I laughed. I had to laugh for about 10, 15 minutes. That was too comical. I was like, okay. Exactly. Right, Cheryl? Been there, done that. You know. And the best part of laughing is when you can laugh at yourself. Because I do some stuff, you know, like I had did a collabo back a few months ago with, she's like my baby sister. And I don't know if y'all seen it or not, but it was for mental health and we was talking. But before we started, we was there for like a whole 5 minutes and we are just chit-chatting and everything. And then it dawned on me we wasn't even live. I said, oh shit. I was like, oh damn. I said, oh, we're not live? Like, I was just wondering where you gonna figure that out. Oh man, I laughed my butt off. That was funny. I said, okay. She's like, I was wondering when you were gonna realize that. It was hilarious. I said, oh, see? And I could laugh at myself like that though. And it feels good to have that laughter because you get tired of crying. That gets so old so fast. I know for me, I get tired of crying. So I have to have that laugh, especially when the laugh is at my own damn expense. Because I be doing some crazy stuff, and I'd be like, "Wait, what? What I just do? What happened? Oh, at least I'm fucked up now. What I do?" See, and when I mess up, I mess up. It's epic. It's usually epic, and I'm like, okay. Already then. This is what we doing here. This is what we doing now. Oh, righty. Exactly. Exactly, Cheryl. You know, it takes a whole lot of energy to cry. You know, and then when you laugh, you just so upbeat. It's like, especially when you laughing at something you done did stupid. It'll be like, okay. Like how I ended up in that printer paper box. I can't even begin to tell you how I ended there, but I did, and it was hilarious. I'm glad I was the only one in the house though, because you know anybody else was in here with me, they probably be talking about me. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, she her ass fell down the last 3 steps and wound up in the printer paper box. Right, Lisa? That's a Lisa thing. Yep. Exactly. Exactly, Cheryl. I can get klutzy though, Lisa. I can get klutzy. I have had my klutzy moment. That was one of them. You know, I have my klutzy moments too. I be tripping all over my feet. I be like, wait, what the hell? Why am I tripping over my feet? You know, tripping over my shoes. I'm like, okay. Dropping everything. Yep. Okay, guys. I think this is what I'm going to call it a night. I just want to thank everybody for being here. We'll I'll be doing this the same time, same bat week, same bat station, same bat channel. But this was a really good discussion. I enjoyed this discussion. Thanks to you. Back at you, Cheryl. You know, this was a really good discussion. I enjoyed it. Um, Lisa, honestly, I think it's because our name is Lisa. I think it's a Lisa thing. Like you said, I think it's a Lisa thing. Oh dear. Oh dear. But stay back, station, stay back. Oh dear. Sorry about that, Lisa. Had to do it. Had to do it. But this was a good conversation. I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight and participating. And like I said, you know, Sherry's live is Wednesday from 7 to 9 her time, which is actually 9 to 11 my time. Thursday I go live from 7 to 9 my time, and then like 5 to 7 her time. So, but and I hope that y'all all come out next week. I will post the link out when it's time. Now that I got my technical wings, because last week I have to apologize. It was like a Freudian thing. Anything that could go wrong will go wrong. Well, that was that week. Nothing wanted to work. I'm like, you know what? This is not the time. I checked you earlier and y'all always working. Now all of a sudden y'all want to stop working. There's some bull going on right now. So, but next week, oh really? 4 p.m. your time. So you're 3 hours behind me. So you on the West Coast? Okay. Okay. I know that because I used to live. Oh, okay. See, I know that because I used to live in Washington State. I used to live in Tacoma, Washington. So that's how I know that you on the West Coast. When you said 3 hours behind, I said, okay, she's on the West Coast. California love. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. California. Party. Okay. All right. We just went Dr. Dre, Tupac on everybody's asses right now. Okay, everybody. I'm going to leave you on that. California, no. Ah, damn. I just mind fucked myself. I just got the song stuck in my head now. Damn it. Okay. Oh, you was okay. Okay. All right. And I have a friend of mine that lives in Seattle. See, California love. Okay. See, no, see, I already got the song stuck in my head. I just mind fuck myself. Okay. I got the song stuck in my head. I did it to myself. Anyway, Lisa, Deanna, everybody, please have a good night. Stay safe. Until next week, we shall see each other again. Night, guys. Curly.